Now, Alabama, they got their spring game around the corner. They just had a scrimmage, though. Some really good intel over at Bama Online. Charlie Potter, Tim Watts, all the coverage over there. Go check it out. We're all wondering what's going on at the quarterback position. Ty Simpson, Keelon Russell, Austin Mack, all getting after it. But we got some intel out of the scrimmage as it pertains to a one Ty Simpson and how he's looking. More on that in a second. If you're watching right now via the full show, subscribe to the channel. College football, year-round, nothing but college football. No additives, no preservatives, no high fructose corn syrup. Lock in here. It's ball and only ball. We appreciate you being subscribed. If you're a Bama fan, want to see more Bama content, subscribe. Let us know. Best way to let us know is by being subscribed. All right, so Ty Simpson. Sounds like he killed the scrimmage, man. Now, again, it's an ongoing competition, which we'll get to, but sounds like he looked like a legitimate SEC starting quarterback, which is what you would hope for a guy like that for as long as he's been at Alabama. Had a nice deep ball to Jeremy Bernard. Isaiah Horton had a couple of big plays from him. This is really the time where I think we're all expecting Ty Simpson to take this job. Now, I say we're all expecting. It's still a battle, like I mentioned, and we've actually made our pick for Austin Mack before this whole thing started. But if you were a Bama fan and you were skeptical of Austin Mack, or a college football fan in general, not Austin Mack, I apologize. If you were skeptical of Ty Simpson, it was largely based in the idea that Ty Simpson didn't take the job from Jalen Milroe last year when Jalen Milroe struggled. So you're cautiously optimistic about what he can be, but you're saying, hey, why didn't he win the job last year when we're turning the ball over against Oklahoma? Well, he's answering that call to action right now during spring practice. Last year was last year, but seeing Ty Simpson do this throughout spring scrimmages and to kind of step up and take the reins here checks a lot of boxes. All right, now Keelon Russell is the all-everything freshman for them. Really excited about him. Sounds like he struggled a little bit early, but had some wow plays down the stretch. Those wow plays came against some of the reserves in the defense for what it's worth. Now, this is exactly what I want to hear around Keelon Russell. Nobody's expecting Keelon Russell to trot out there and lead the ones on several touchdown drives and just be the far and away winner of this quarterback battle at this scrimmage. Nobody's expecting that right now. He's been on campus for 15 minutes. What I want to see from Keelon Russell is these consistent wow reports out of spring practices and spring scrimmages, and then I want to see how consistent he can be. Because I don't think anybody's questioning what his ceiling is. I think if you were to say who can have the best professional career, you might say Keelon Russell is going to be the guy out of these three. But the question is, how quickly can the light bulb come on for the guy? It's not a problem that he's, a true freshman right now. If the light's not a blinking bright bulb, flash bulb right now, it's okay. But I think as he progresses, that's something to watch because of his ceiling and because of what he can be. So some wow plays. Really curious to see what we get from him out of the A-Day when that's coming up here. Austin Mack, hey, it's still progressing, but hand up a little bit here until we get some clarity. Struggled the most of the three quarterbacks in this scrimmage. We already told you we picked him to win the job before we even had spring practice start. A lot of that was based on curiosity of what Ty Simpson would be. Still a long way to go, but Austin Mack sounds like he forced a few things downfield, which never a great report here on a quarterback as we get into spring practice, but it is what it is. I think a lot of people are going to get this intel around how Ty Simpson looked the best and how Austin Mack struggled, and then you think Keelon Russell's probably got some time to marinate in the system. And you say, oh, well, it's done. Must be a done deal. Ryan Grubb's probably got his quarterback. They're just going to probably keep these guys, warm and make sure none of them hit the portal, right? That's why they won't announce a starting quarterback. But we all know it's Ty Simpson's job, right? I don't think that's the case here, y'all. I really don't. The reason being, Ryan Grubb has been there for what? A few months, maybe? Like, Ryan Grubb is still trying to get inventory of his room. It'd be different if all these guys were here last year and they got a full season under their belt and Ryan Grubb was here last year. They're all still figuring each other out. So while this is the intel out of one spring scrimmage, I think it could change pretty quickly, is all I'm going to say. Now, I do think someone probably has to go and try and actually take this job from a Ty Simpson. I think it's probably his to lose right now. But with that being said, this is not something that you just go ahead and pencil it in. Oh, yeah, it's Ty Simpson's job. No, they're still going to have a legit battle, and I personally would expect this to go into and potentially even through fall camp. Just my 2 cents on this thing. Now, the receiver room is a big reason why you get excited about whoever your quarterback's going to be. We continue to hear these dudes are ballers, right? Lazier Brooks, freshman, continues to make waves. We have a rule on this show. If you hear someone's name multiple times during spring practice, usually means they're balling. We pay attention to frequency, and Lazir Brooks continues to have some frequency around what he's done. Had some good burn during the scrimmage. One person said they wouldn't be surprised if he ended up starting for Bama. We'll see if that happens, but to even be in that discussion, you got a guy in Lazir Brooks who could make some good things happen for Bama here in that slot position as a true freshman. Isaiah Horton, we mentioned him, had some big plays. Jeremy Bernard had some big plays. My thought around the Bama receiver room here, for those of y'all that have tuned into the show, you already know this, but I'll say it again. I really think they have what they need now, finally. From last year to this year, they have what they need to go and actually run the Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb offense. Because last year, Ryan Williams was your go-to guy. Jeremy Bernard very quietly had a great year. But outside of those two, there wasn't a lot of other weapons you were worried about if you had to play the Bama offense. And even if you were worried about more guys, there was no consistent threat at quarterback to deliver the football. Washington was so good because you literally had to pick your poison between Odunze, Polk, Westover, the Tide. Like they had so many ways they could hurt you. Now, I'm not saying it's the same level of talent that Washington team had that Alabama was working with, but I think the point stands. If you have the overall quantity across the board with weapons, that's how this offense becomes really dangerous. And I have to believe between those three quarterbacks, they're going to pick the right one to deliver the football downfield consistently enough. They're going to have enough to light it up here in the fall. I really believe that. Now, the defensive backs are also getting a lot of praise thus far through spring. They feel like what I was told was they feel like it's kind of similar to those Nick Saban kind of secondaries. High praise, but I mean, they're calling it like I see it. Dijon Lee, true freshman, big body, big wingspan. Sounds like he's going to get some burn. He had a good scrimmage. He stepped in with Damani Jackson out with an injury. Xavier Brown, a young buck now with another year in the system. A lot of talent, man. A lot of talent. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. made some plays. They got a lot of, similar to the receiver room, you got a lot of names you're mentioning when you talk about the Alabama secondary, which transparently here, as we talk about the future of modern college football, that's probably what you need to have to go and make a playoff run. We said it on a previous show. You talk about those teams that made the semifinals, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State. 3 of those 4 you comfortably called the top secondaries in college football. Penn State had one of the best defenses in college football. I think you got to have it. I think Bama has it, and it's all a matter of putting it together now. Defensive line, not a ton of guys to single out right now from the scrimmage, but overall the sentiment is they feel like they have more depth than they've had here under Kalen DeBoer compared to last year. That's my thing with Kalen DeBoer, man. I don't know that you can really get a good gauge for his Alabama, if you will, based on what last season was. Last season was last season, a lot of talent, but there were so many things about last year that just were unideal circumstances to where you add all those up together, and it's not really a massive surprise Alabama, I say underachieved in air quotes relative to what they expect there, man. Like, the portal bodies them post Nick Saban. You got that. You also did not have your offensive coordinator you had planned to have if you're Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. He goes to the Seahawks. Now you got him this year. You didn't have a quarterback to run your system. Also, this may be the most important part. There's a different level, I believe, or have to, if I'm reading between the lines here, what Kalen DeBoer said, different level of credibility he has with this team, different level of trust this team probably has in him compared to a year ago. And he said that after the first scrimmage, he talked about how when he first got there, they're still trying to figure out how each other works. And they go through last year, kind of go through the fires and the flames of adversity, to be dramatic here. And now there's no second guessing what Kalen DeBoer is about. There's no second guessing anybody who's still on this roster in Tuscaloosa what they're about. Why? Because if you weren't about the right things, you would have left or hit the portal, or you would have had some other way as to not be on this roster right now. Everyone who's still in Tuscaloosa has recommitted to Kalen DeBoer and his way of doing things. And so the scrimmage is the scrimmage. The quarterback battle is going to work itself out. But overall, I just feel like Bama is so much more settled from a cohesion perspective than where they were this time last year, trying to figure out what the post-Nick Saban Alabama Crimson Tide are going to look like. I think that pressure is probably still existent because it's still Alabama, but I think it's a little bit dialed back because you're not quite so fight or flight as maybe you were a season ago.